Hi, I'm Adam Traum, and welcome to this acoustic guitar video on my dad, Happy Traum's version of He Was a Friend of Mine. It's a great old folk song that a ton of people have done, but he had a really unique version of it. It was on his album, There's a Bright Side Somewhere, which was his last album, and a really terrific album and a great version of this. A lot of his style is rubbed off on me, and I'm going to do my best to sort of show how he did things and sort of show some happyisms here. I probably won't get to exactly the way he did it, but his style is really fluid, and I'm going to just try and highlight some things that were emblematic of his style. So let's go ahead and dig in here. I'm going to play a little bit, and then I'll break everything down, and I guess I'll play a little intro and a verse, and then maybe do a little something after that, and then show you some happyisms. All right, here we go. He was a friend of mine. He was a friend of mine. Never had money to pay for all his fines, and he was a friend of mine. Obviously, you know, there's only one Happy Traum in this world, and so I definitely have been influenced by him, but sort of inserted my own stuff in there. But there's a few things that I really picked up on a lot as part of my style, and one of those is this contrapuntal line that starts off right away. For those of you who don't know what contrapuntal is, it just means one line's going up and one line's descending. So when we put them together, so that's kind of the first element, and that's something that really rubbed off on me that my dad did, and it's just, it makes for a beautiful. Now, fingering this might be a little tricky for some of y'all, because there's a big jump from there to there. So sometimes, I guess I sometimes would do this, but more often than not, I would try and go, because a little less finger movement, and that might help. And then the other thing you can do, which is going to help make this transition a little easier, is practice doing this, and then practice doing this, and then putting them together. Now in the transcription, there's one point where he hits, I believe, 2 E notes. I'm calling this E even though it's a G. Capoed on the third. And that kind of gives a little bit of swing. That. Now, one of the things about Dad's style was, you know, he's very smooth and even, but he sort of, his dynamic control was really good. So just keep that in mind as you're going through this. The next sort of happyism, for lack of a better word, is he loved this double stop, and this is something that really wore off on me, is... Now, let me break down. I sort of sometimes will drop my thumb down just because I like that pinch, but I believe he probably split his fingers or did this. But this little double stop comes off of the B7th chord. Again, this is actually a D7th. I'm calling it a B7th because of the capo. Now, it starts with a slide. And this is something that works great. And if you're able to, 1 and 2. You can also do some variations. This is something that he did a lot, where he would go, and then he'd hammer on. Really common, he would hammer. This is a big hammer on he would do. So if we take the first couple measures and we go, now that's right before the double stop. He's playing actually what would be a B9th if I didn't have the capo on. Now a lot of times he might use this note, but one of the things that was real emblematic of what Dad did was he would play these like kind of major sounding notes in a blues, and it really worked. And then when he hit that double stop, so you get that nice thing moving there. And we've got this beautiful movement. And that bass walk is another thing that really rubbed off on me, is sometimes just throw that in. I want to make a quick note about his rhythm too. One of the things that, again, this is something that rubbed off on me, was he'd sometimes just brush with the back of his fingers to play a chord, and then that way he could either do a ghost note or he could pull up where it would be. All right. So another thing that was really prevalent in his style was he did this major pentatonic bass run on a lot of things, and it's basically like a boogie woogie bass walk. But a lot of times he would extend that boogie woogie up, so it's root, third, fifth, sixth, octave. And again, capo's on third. I've got, and incidentally, this is the Happy Traum model that was reviewed for acoustic guitar. The people at Santa Cruz were kind enough to let me know when it was available for public consumption, and I bought it. This little run he did a lot, and it's a really useful run, and it goes, and then goes from this note here, which is the 1, 2, 3, 4th fret from the capo, sliding up to the 6th fret from the capo. So where it shows up in this arrangement is, let's see, so it sort of pops up a lot in his playing. And you can always do this little hammer on, flat 3 to 3 and down to the root. Makes a great little fill. He was a friend of mine. So there's a lot of variations that can happen in that. So definitely work that boogie woogie, then work the hammer on, or you can do a slide. This next little gem here, which I loved about his playing, is he would play these a lot of times as D shape. A lot of people would only play that seventh chord, which is, so this is our 4 chord, or in this case our A chord from if we're in open, or C chord with the capo. So he would do this, and he'd keep this dead thumb going when he'd be up there, because it would just keep that rhythm really steady. And so it would be, this is a great thing to practice. You can go a long slide, a short slide. It's all legal. All right. The next little piece, and this is something that I picked up from him, and actually we were in a hotel room in Winfield, Kansas, and I learned a slightly different version of this, but it's almost the same version. In this case, he's playing it out of a different key than I learned it, but it's a really cool run, and it allows you to get from way up here, this altitude, back down to here. And what it does is it goes, and I believe in this version he just stopped on the 2nd fret on the 3rd string from the capo, but I kind of like going down to the 3rd of the E. It's a great little run. So if I was singing, he was a friend of mine, in that little fill, he was a friend of mine. So we're starting to put these elements together. All right, now in this song, never had money. Now here we've got, I guess it's our 3 chord, where I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4 frets up from my capo. If I was playing an E, it would be an A flat. In this case, it's a B. So what I'm doing here, I'm barring across these 3 strings, and there's a little hammer on that's going to happen. But with this finger, with my index, I'm muting this guy out. That's what we want. And then I'm wrapping my thumb over the top. And so this is not going to ring even if I hit it by accident. All right, now all we got to do is move this up. 4 chord. Now we've got our diminished. Now if this is weird for your hands, sometimes people's hands don't work like this. You can go from here and then go to our A chord, and he was a friend of mine. One of the things that he did a lot also was hammer-ons, as most of us do hammer-ons and pull-offs. He really added those a lot. So like for example, if I was playing my E chord in the chord progression, was a friend of mine, he was a friend of mine. When he did Jay Gould's Daughter, he used that a lot. Check out his version of Jay Gould's Daughter. Great song. One of the things that was really interesting about my dad's playing was his sense of rhythm. He had his groove was always kind of propelling, and there was like a bounce to it. If you listen to any of his stuff, whether even if it was like a sad blues or whatever, or a ballad, there was always kind of like this internal bounce to it. And this song is a really good example of that. Like when he did it. Now I'm sort of exaggerating it there, but because I wanted you to really feel that bounce. But there was a lot of that kind of that bounce and in what he did, and really his joy of playing really came through as soon as he put his hands on his instrument. There's He Was a Friend of Mine. I hope you got a couple cool little happyisms. Did my best to kind of present some of his style, and I hope you have a lot of fun with that. And check out some of his other stuff. He's had years and years of teaching, and so you can get a lot of direct access to him in his own words. But and I wish he were here to be teaching this, and I could be a student. I was always learning stuff from him, and then occasionally he'd ask me what I was doing, and that always made me feel real proud, like I was on the right track. And so thanks to Acoustic Guitar for having me and allowing me to share a little bit of my dad's style, and hope to see you again real soon. My name's Adam Traum.